Vigilantes. People are telling me, Raf, you need to be more open, you gotta let us know how it is that you did what you were capable of doing in 2023. How is it that your subscribers made 3 million% gains, over 9 million% gains during a bear market? And the truth is, guys, is that I simply persisted in what I know. I completely drowned out the naysayers, and I surrounded myself with positive people that at the very least respected my outlook. So as you know, TCV is not an echo chamber. The dollar vigilante is not an echo chamber. We as analysts don't all agree, and that's okay. I actually like that because I'm able to express myself freely in whatever way I want. And as you guys know, my history in Bitcoin is very different from what you find in mainstream media known as BTC. I'm a big blocker. I come from the other side of the Bitcoin civil war. And because I persisted in the idea that Satoshi gave us something that was much more than money, that was a Turing-complete machine that can scale on-chain, and it's a global ledger of truth and honesty, I was capable of amassing these gains. Why? Because I was persistent, and I made myself vulnerable to being wrong, but I never committed intellectual suicide. I never went along to get along, and I made sure that everything that I have said and done has been something that is congruent with who I am and how I see things. So I never sold out to the peer pressure or to even the abuse that a lot of big blockers got since the Civil War. But if you were to go to the Ethereum Denver conference, ETH Denver, all of a sudden, all of the venture capital there is trying to figure out how to capitalize on what big blockers like myself did on BTC in 2023, where I was able to bring the TCV subscribers between 3 million% gains and 9 million% gains. Well, how, Rav? How did he do that? Well, I was ready with forbidden knowledge. And I've always told you guys that it's important to always go against the grain. If someone tells you, hey, Raf, you shouldn't study that, that's forbidden, that's literally what you should be studying. Profit seeking is a lonely road. And if you're a capitalist, you have to be comfortable being alone. My experience in crypto, I compared a lot to hunting. Hunting requires for you to be alone. And it isn't in that ability of being alone that you're able to make great gains. If you are going with what the masses are saying or doing or thinking, you're not going to have differential knowledge. The key is to have differential knowledge. So the greatest gains in 2023 came about through Ordi, the first BRC20 token in BTC. And I was positioned at the right place at the right time to tell my team about it and to tell subscribers about it. When it first came out, a lot of people laughed at me and told me that it was a shitcoin on BTC, that it was not going to amount to anything, and that it had no utility. The truth is that it has all of the utility and liquidity readily available that BTC has. It also is protected by the same hash power as BTC itself. So Ordi is nothing more than an aspect of BTC that was just recently discovered. It's a unit of account that lives within BTC that is much more nimble and flexible, and in turn a lot more liquid, with which you could play a lot more within this new on-chain economy that we turned the BTC blockchain into. Now, for a lot of you, this is everything I just said is pretty much still a mouthful, and you're like, what the heck did he just say? What do you mean blockchain economy? What do you mean on-chain economy? Well, guys, that's why I created the Crypto Vigilante with Jeff Berwick, Ed Bugos, and Mr. X, to give you guys the differential knowledge that you're not getting anywhere else. And just like you're getting differential knowledge from me, from a big blocker perspective, you're going to be getting differential knowledge from Ed Bugos in regards to the interrelationship between precious metals and crypto. You're going to be getting a differential knowledge from Mr. X on privacy coins. And you're going to be getting differential knowledge from Mr. Z on many other aspects of crypto that are pretty new, like DeFi 2.0. And you're also going to be getting operational security from Mr. P and from Mr. A and W, which were the first guys to chart Bitcoin in the Bitcoin Talk forums in 2010. You're going to be getting the best TA on the planet or on the plane. For all you globally skeptics out there. So here I am in a very weird and different position, guys, because everyone wants to know how it is that I'm making these gains. How is it that Raphael's making these gains? And at the same time, these same people tell me that they hate the premises that created these gains and the logical conclusions of what these gains represent. They represent and they come forth from the big blocker worldview or side of the Bitcoin civil war. Because at one hand, people love Ordi, they love Bitmap, and then at the same time, they are the same people to talk bad about BSV. The truth is, guys, is whether you like this truth or not, is that you can't have one without the other. People come to me and tell me, Raph, this is your way to redeem yourself. You can redeem yourself now with Ordi. You were right all along, but don't talk about BSV. That would be bad for your business. And I'm like, look, guys, I can only be honest. And the reason why I think people follow me, the reason why people are, I'm out in the open, guys. I live the philosophy of being out in the open and transparent. Everything about my persona has to be congruent, or otherwise you guys will know if I am BSing you. Like, you guys are not dumb. You guys would know if someone's BSing you or not. Ordi is the manifestation within BTC that Bitcoin has capabilities and capacities that are just now being discovered. This first fungible unit of account on BTC called Ordi represents a new reality within the Bitcoin universe, that within Bitcoin itself, you can have sort of like Inception, right? It's like Bitcoin within Bitcoin, right? So it's not Bitcoin as it relates to the world of fiat, to the world of physical items in commerce, but now we're talking about what does it represent? What would be a unit of account native to Bitcoin, to the blockchain itself, that lives on this thing that we call Web3. I hate to say this, but the truth is that the vast majority of humanity is behind a screen. And I come to this forest here, guys, and it's alone. It's lonely. There's no human beings here. Everyone's at home behind a screen. Everyone watching this is probably a dopamine addict at this point, which is kind of sad, although I am in private property, which is another story. But if you go to any forest, it's pretty much empty. So we need to have a world of the internet that we run, that we control, that is grassroots. And Ordi represents that first unit of account that gets mass adoption in crypto that is native to a blockchain itself. But it is not the base unit of account. It is not BTC itself. It is something that lives within BTC, that is more nimble than BTC, that is more flexible, and that you can program, which opens us up to a new reality. And the reality that I'm talking about is the future of the internet. Do you guys want a future of an internet that is still centrally controlled, monopolized, where you and your information and your data are the asset that is being traded back and forth? I don't think so. And we're moving into a world where you're not even going to know who to trust. Think about that. We're moving into a world where AI, deep fakes abound, and you're just going to be manipulated even more. So for us to have an on-chain economy is a lot more than just owning assets that live on a blockchain. In reality, guys, this is the beginning of a native internet, of an internet controlled and run by us, where we own our data. And deep down, I feel that this is the real dream of Satoshi Nakamoto. This is the real dream of Bitcoin, because a lot of libertarians said, well, we need to fix the money, man. The money is the most important thing. And yes, it is very important. But the truth, guys, is that CBDCs are already here. They've been here even before they started announcing them. CBDCs are nothing more than the dollar. Over 94% of your dollars, of your fiat, are digital as they are. So we're not talking about something different or new. What people are really worried about when they talk about central bank digital currencies, they're worried about a digital ID. They're concerned for mass surveillance. They're concerned for every aspect of your being commoditized on the internet. That's what people are really worried about. And when we own our data on chain, we flip the script, because no longer are the big tech giants the ones that own our data and trade our data back and forth, but rather now we're the ones that control and that own the data that we decide to put on chain or not. So just know that every financial institution now, it can only do its job using your data. So financial companies, financial institutions are data companies now. When you realize this, you will know that fixing the money is not enough, guys. Fixing the money is halfway there, but now we need to fix our data. And I really do hope that this is the new emphasis that gets echoed throughout all of crypto. That Bitcoin was given to us not just to fix the money. It fixes the money, yes it does. But it also fixes our data, our personal data. Big data. It makes everything more market driven. It aligns our incentives so that we're always doing what's best for each other, not what's best for a couple entities. And that is only truly achieved through the capitalist engine, the capitalist meritocracy that Satoshi gave us in proof of work. The truth, guys, is that as much as I've been fighting for the big blocker version of Bitcoin, the truth is that I can reframe that and say that I've simply been fighting for Bitcoin and for the world to know that there are aspects of Bitcoin that some people have tried to keep away from us. Aspects that are extremely important, which are now showing themselves to be very relevant and profitable. So now you know why and how I was able to be part of and be amongst the first to inscribe Ordi. And now you guys know what Ordi represents. Now you guys know that it pays off to be a contrarian and that the fullness of Bitcoin is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. You know, the funny thing is that we live in a world that constantly seeks gains. And you know what's really funny? To me, at least, I don't seek gains. And yet I'm the guy that makes the most gains. And I ask myself, I see all these people chasing gains. And yet I see the returns that I get, that we get, and they're way superior to what everyone else gets. And I have to ask myself, like, why is it? Why is it that, you know, that we do the work? My emphasis is one which is very agorist, meaning that I see my investments and my activism going, hand in hand. I don't really go or invest into things that I don't believe in or that I find detrimental to people. And so how is it that I still make more gains than those that just seek profit? And I've come to the realization that it's because Bitcoin and crypto inherently align our incentives to greater convergence, meaning towards greater alignment of our incentives with that which is very beneficial to me is also very beneficial to you. Meaning that Bitcoin and crypto in itself these are inherently altruistic technologies. Altruistic in the sense that you have to operate at a higher vibration to understand what I'm talking about. That's really how deep this goes. Well, what does that mean? It means that since Satoshi gave us Bitcoin, we have implicitly accepted that we are in a new reality. And this reality is one where what is good and beneficial to me has to be beneficial and good to you. And I think that this was part of the design of the blockchain itself, the small world network, that has interconnected networks that scale and go viral faster than any type of topological graph. It forces us to look out for each other. So it doesn't matter how long it takes for something that is truly beneficial for all of us to catch on, but the moment that it catches on, it goes extremely viral, super viral. And I think that a lot of our human conditioning has been one where we've been trained since we were little kids for our incentives to be diversified, where we're always competing against each other. And although this is true still within Bitcoin, the competition revolves around who can do best for everyone, who can bring about the best results that are most beneficial to all of us. And when that is the goal, when that's the goal, and that's the measurement stick that you're using for what is valuable in crypto, at that moment, you seek to just think with your ego. And you start thinking about bigger things. You start thinking about, your mindset starts changing to a more charitable one. You really want to know how it is that you can help out other people in crypto. So, and I think, even though like Mr. X, Mr. A, Mr. Z, Mr. W, Ed and Jeff, you know, we all come from different perspectives. Like what really brings us together is the idea of, let's make sure that those people who are truly seeking peace, prosperity, and freedom are the ones that in a post-dollar collapse are the most profitable of people and are the most well-off of people once the dollar collapse occurs and after it. And I think that that altruistic kind of like vocation that we all share brought us together and hones our minds to seek that which is best for our subscribers. And that's what really makes TCV a very special place. So everyone in crypto is susceptible into falling into echo chambers because of this inherent tribalism that comes forth from this conditioning that I just explained. And because we have this inherent tribalistic behavior, we were easily psyoped into different networks, into different blockchains. And it was really easy for those who wanted to delay hyper-Bitcoinization to do that, because we're used to that mindset. They indoctrinate us with this mindset, right? In the US, you know, you have like the juniors versus the seniors, this team versus that team, this school versus that school, this team versus that team. All of that is conditioning. All of that is putting people into collectivist units. It's collectivizing people. And it's all just literally part of the indoctrination. It's all part of the indoctrination that they instill in you, and you don't even realize that you're part of this. You just think that the world is, that's just the way the world is. And reality, guys, is that the world doesn't have to be like that. And in order to change the world, you can't do it through politics. You have to do it through capitalist incentive structures. You have to honor capitalist incentives, our human nature as it is. And when you honor it as it is, then you're able to change behavior. And I think that deep down, that's what Satoshi wanted. Satoshi, you know, I had this conversation with Jeff where he said, Raph, if I had the ability to push a button right now to create anarchy in the world, I wouldn't do it because people are not ready for it. And he's right. You know, and Max Egan says the same thing. Max Egan says the same exact thing. And so, and I agree with them. The change that we need to see starts at the individual level. And the individual is constantly being psyoped by the media, by school, by government indoctrination, and now even more so. So people are being psyoped even more. They're being targeted on an individualistic level. That's the game plan. That's really what they're doing now, which is kind of scary. But you have to confront that reality that we live in a world now where they can psyop you directly. I've read studies where they could even make someone suicidal if they wanted to. If they know how to target their social media with bots adequately, they can do that. It's crazy. It's really crazy what humanity's up against. But we want to connect. See, that's the truth, is that humanity wants to connect. Humanity wants to grow together. Why is that? Because that's what civilization is. Civilization in the Austrian school is defined as the idea that we yield more together than we do by ourselves. And that's very true. You know, we capitalize more in a market economy where we peacefully exchange value with one another. So no, we can't let them take that away from us, because that is what the Marxists want and desire. But what we need to do is to create environments of real free markets. And these blockchains are that. So whenever you look at a blockchain, what you need to understand is that the crypto governance that you can define within a blockchain itself, whether it be proof of work, proof of stake, or whatever, it's a different type of relationship. In reality, every single blockchain is a new type of relationship. There are different types of relationships, and I think future scholars are going to define them as such. They're going to be seeing them as different means of attaining voluntary exchange. For the Dominican school of Salamanca, voluntary exchange was the social virtue that was akin to the personal virtue of virtue itself, of pursuing virtues itself. You know, this is more like scholastic philosophy. For the Dominicans in Salamanca, who were the fathers of what we know now as economics, what they understood was that if pursuing the virtues leads the individual person to happiness, then that which leads you in society, in civilization, what leads us towards greater happiness in our relationships with one another and fulfillment is the ability to have voluntary exchange. Every one of these blockchains is a different form of voluntary exchange. And the best forms of voluntary exchange will outcompete those that are no good. So we already know that we don't like hub and spokes networks. The crypto space is very immature still, and that's why the crypto space right now is being psyoped by layered approaches to scaling. A layered approach to scaling, anytime you say that your blockchain needs a layer 2, implicitly what you're admitting to is that your blockchain is crippled and doesn't work as it should. Because the reality is that soon everyone in crypto is going to be migrating towards blockchains that actually work, where you don't need crutches. I call layer 2 crutches. So a blockchain that doesn't need a crutch is going to be the holy grail. And if anyone is wise and wants to know where to position themselves for the future, not for the present moment where all the idiots are running around, like at ETH Denver, looking to make different layer 2 Ethereum networks into BTC layer 2 networks, because that's where their mindset is. Know that the future will be L1, will be layer 1, will be the blockchain itself, will be a world where these different types of cooperative relationships, let's call them that, are competing with one another, and the best of blockchains will win. A lot of this craze that is happening around layer 2 scaling in BTC comes forth from an idea that those in venture capital, those who want to remain in power and have already invested in other layer 2 modalities. See, the thing is that these people probably understand that the blockchain in itself will scale on chain, and they understand this probably as good as I do. But the reality is that these guys are used to playing in a world where there is a lot of division and divergence, where they're competing against each other, and where co-opetition is not something that is even within their radar. So they're not thinking about engaging in an altruistic network with each other, with other people. They're thinking about their shareholders. They're thinking about, the legacy system that they come from. They're thinking about, how is it that I can offset and leverage my debt onto someone else? And how is it that I can keep doing that? And how can I use these new crypto assets, these digital assets, as investment vehicles to offset and leverage my debt onto someone else? That's all this is about. It's a world where a lot of people get hurt because no one's really looking out for the greater good of everyone else. So a lot of these venture capitalists, when they come into crypto, they don't want to let go of their way of doing business. And so that's why they want to intervene. Big tech and Silicon Valley wants to still be in the middle of the world of innovation. They want to be the brokers. They want to broker that market dynamic between the masses, the end user, and the creators. And so what happens, guys, is that with the on-chain world that Satoshi gave us, which is now really taking off, is that we've already we ripped that veil. That veil doesn't exist anymore between users and creators. The truth is, guys, is that everyone watching this, each one of you can become a creator and a user. And in this world that Satoshi gave us, the user of these tools, these digital assets, applications, protocols, the users are more valuable than the creators. So it turns the pyramid upside down. They don't want that. They don't want to live in a world where they can't compete. The truth is that they come from a world of violence, where they're used to competing through force, a world where they're used to competing through moving debt around. And now we're in a world where they can't compete, where now the creativity of those watching this right now, of you guys watching me talk right now as I walk through the forest with my dogs, your creativity is more valuable and more important than anything else in technology, because your creativity can now be embraced by the best type of network incentives that have ever existed. These blockchains that we call these small world networks. And so Ordi, we did see a meteoric rise in Ordi. And I'll tell you something, guys. This is not the end. This is only the beginning. We're at the beginning of seeing many Ordis. And the reason why is because the only thing now that it holds back this innovation is awareness. Once human beings realize that they're capable of creating whatever they want on the blockchain, and that if someone else, and if there's a world out there that sees the value in the community or in the shared asset that you've created, they want to be part of it. Okay, let me reframe this, because this is so important that I want to make sure this idea gets to you guys. Within these on-chain assets, you, the creator, are capable of having a readily available audience that has no friction and needs no permission to be close to you as the creator. What does that mean? That means the world of the gatekeeper is over. The world of the curator, the gatekeeper, is dead. You, the creator, step into a blockchain, an actual blockchain that works. Not a blockchain that needs a layer 2. Any blockchain that needs a layer 2 needs to figure out how the fuck to fix their layer 1, or they're gonna be put out of business. Okay? And yes, if this sounds like a threat, it kind of is, because there's just no other way. You guys can lie to people and tell them that the layer 2s are gonna come to rescue the layer 1s, but what smart guys like me are reading is that you're selling crutches to crippled people. You're selling crutches to crippled blockchains. That's all you're doing. But why I'm not gonna bet in a crippled blockchain when I can bet on a blockchain that scales now on chain, that needs no help. So a creator comes into a blockchain that actually works and embraces it, and automatically if that creator goes viral, that creator has the entirety of the market cap of that native blockchain to expand. So if the blockchain of BTC has a market cap of over $1 trillion worth, that's how much readily available capital measured in terms of fiat is readily available to deploy to the creation of that creator. Do you understand what that means? And what this creator does when they launch something that we call it a fair launch within these on-chain economies, is that he or she invites the entire world to co-create this idea with them. Just like Satoshi invited miners to mine Bitcoin with him. So when an entrepreneur mirrors that of the Bitcoin miner and co-creates and invites the world to co-create something with them, and if that idea is an idea that is incredible and amazing, then guess what happens? It goes viral. And it goes viral in a way that we've never seen before, because we're dealing with a network topological graph that is the most interconnected to any other type of network. What does that mean, Raf? Well, what it means is that the blockchain being decentralized is the one way we can all become together with just 2 hops away from being connected to everyone on the network, without having to go, because the only option that humanity has had through big tech is to go through a third party, to go through Twitter, to go through Facebook, to go through a third party that is there to block you. Stay away from anything that blocks you, anything that blocks the stream of consciousness, that blocks the stream of creativity, that blocks the stream of innovation. Stay away from anything that blocks the stream of you expressing yourself to everyone else in the world freely. The best of blockchains are also pretty much free to use because they actually scale. And as any economy of scale, the more you use it, the cheaper it is, because the more you cover the cost of those who process those transactions, the miners or the block producers or the validators. So we're moving into a layer 1 world, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we're doing. We're moving to a layer 1 world where you are the owner of your data. And this layer 1 world cannot be outcompeted by the layer 2 world. It just can't. The layer 2 investments are already dead. They really are. They're just out there to get suckers into these investments. So if you're an investor out there, or you know of an investor that is thinking about investing in a layer 2 approach to scaling BTC or Ethereum, send them this video and let them reach out to me. You guys can reach out to me and ask me questions. Well, actually, just become part of the Crypto Vigilante, because it's you know, we want what's best for everyone, and pretty much I already told you everything you needed to know here. So when Ordi came out, it cost whatever the transaction fee was at the moment, whether it was $1, it was between $1 and $5. So let's say average $3. You paid a $3 transaction fee, and you got 1,000 Ordi. Ordi all-time high has been $96. That's over a 3 million% gain. If you inscribed with us, 3 million% gain. Who else is doing that in crypto? Crypto Vigilante subscribers got into that, were told about this, and they were also first to inscribe every new alpha that has come out on BTC, Solana, Ordinals. So the cool thing about TCV, guys, is that you go to a lot of these communities that give you alphas. A lot of them just give you alphas from one aspect of the crypto universe. We give you alphas from all of them at the same time. The hard part that you're going to have is keeping up with us. That's truly the hard part, keeping up with us. It is for this reason that we created the Vigilante Insiders Club as well, so that you guys have ready available access to us analysts in real time and ask questions, because these things happen extremely fast. There's no time to write a report about these things. You know, they happen so fast. I'll give you guys an example. So I don't know if you guys know this, but my buddies and I, we discovered a new type of Bitcoin transaction called Boost Proof of Work. Pretty much we're mining SHA-256, the Bitcoin protocol, on our laptops. I know that sounds crazy to a lot of you, and you guys are probably like, what the fuck are you talking about? It makes no sense. You need an ASICs. No, that's not completely true. We do the hashing on our laptops. Whether you believe me or not, well, you have to Google it, research it. So a new token protocol came out on BTC and on BSV called POW20, Proof of Work 20. POW20 is a protocol where you mine out of your laptop this new cryptocurrency called DOTI. For the BTC version of DOTI, we only had like 7 hours to mine. It took us literally 7 hours. It was minted out within 7 hours, guys. That's how crazy fast these things move. So it is for that reason that you need something like a VIC to be on top of these things. It's not even a matter of, it's not a luxury product. It really is a necessity nowadays. So my secret for getting in early on Ordi, on Bitmap, and all of these on-chain assets was nothing more than me being true to myself and, you know, not committing intellectual suicide, not allowing myself to be persuaded by peer pressure. It was my conviction in seeing things as they are and not allowing myself to be persuaded by ideas that were contrary to reason. That's really what happened, right? Like, it's easy to do what's popular. It's easy to go along with people. It's easy to chase fiat, you know, but it's hard to know something. You guys seen the meme of the little bunny that sees a little bushel and he ignores it, but he goes after the big bushel, and all of a sudden the big bushel has a tiny carrot, and the big bushel, the small bushel has a giant carrot, the one that was ignored. Well, that's pretty much what happened to me. And I was able to pursue a lot of this because, quite humbly, you know, and humility's truth is that I know my shit. I know what I'm talking about. It is no surprise to me. That's why people right now are so like, they can't believe the gains that we made. They're like, how were you able to? How did you see it when no one else did? I'm like, guys, I've been telling you this for years. I've been teaching the big blocker perspective of Bitcoin forever. You know, for me, the civil war has never ended because you can't kill a good idea just because, you know, and sooner or later, people are going to realize that Bitcoin scales on chain. The future is layer one, guys, and we are going to see these gains accumulate even more. Ordi is just the beginning, and the reason I say this is because we're going to see more of this, because people are just now tapping the surface of what this really means. People are just now realizing that you can compute anything you want on a layer one that actually scales, and that you're not dealing with a currency, you're dealing with supercomputers. In reality, these blockchains, the best ones, the ones that scale on layer one, they're supercomputers. You can program things. That realization, you know, I really feel as if there's a conspiracy to keep this reality from getting out. And that's why they want to siphon attention away from that into layer twos. I don't think it's within the best interest of big tech for these ideas to get out. And that's why they are fighting against them so harshly. And why they're pretending to be us. Because a lot of what they do nowadays is pretend to be us. They have no other choice but pretend to be us. They are not innovators like us. So the best thing that they can do is pretend to be us, grassroots innovators, It's kind of sad. I'll give you guys an example. And I hate to say this, but you guys have heard of the Taproot Wizards on BTC. A lot of people think that these guys are grassroots. No, they're not. They are a VC concoction. The real grassroots Ordinals creators and market makers are dudes that came from BSV. That's the truth. And a lot of people don't want to hear that truth, but it's the truth. The game plan for the venture capital Goliath now is to ignore us, ignore everything I'm telling you about, ignore Ordi, ignore Bitmap. But the truth is that they can't keep up with these innovations. Nothing that they've created has returned as much gains and creativity as what we did with things like Bitmap and Ordi. So I'm doing this video mostly because we are at the first anniversary of the inscribing of Ordi, and I already see that there's a lot of confusion in Bitcoin and in crypto as to what happened and what's going to happen and what's happening. And people are still trying to figure out how to get involved. And look, guys, the truth is that there is no like manual on how to do this, because we are at the bleeding edge of technology. And so you literally have to be sitting down with me for me to like be able to reach you and tell you, hey, this is what's happening. So if you want to be on top of what's going on, if you, a year from now, when we look back at the greatest gains of 2024, and we look back and have a conversation like this about something else that came out in 2024 that was as profitable as Ordi or even more, don't come to me asking me, how did I know? How did he know, Raf? How did he know? If you really want to be on top of things, you got to join the VIC, the Vigilante Insiders Club. There's just no other way. There's a huge discrepancy in the minds of people right now. There's like cognitive dissonance because they don't understand how these new native blockchain assets work. So they assume that it is crypto as usual. And that's a grave mistake. A lot of people still think of them like, oh, Raf is only talking about the same thing as NFTs on Ethereum. Literally, that's what people think. They're like, oh, this is nothing more than now NFTs on BTC. No, that's wrong. That's not what's going on here. And let me explain why. These are not just like NFTs on Ethereum, because NFTs on Ethereum did not live on chain, number one. Number two, most of the ICO NFT stuff on Ethereum required that you do things off chain, which came with a whole set of IP, intellectual property, and venture capital driven patents, where people were not able to have interoperability within their creations. The difference here is that it's happening within BTC, that it's happening within Doge, that it's happening on chain, and that since it lives on chain, this is a part of Bitcoin history forever that can never be erased. The innovators that understand these technology best, they build on-chain, open source, and interoperably, meaning that they're okay with having their ideas and their code and their work being used by someone else. Sure, there's still room for IP, and people do practice the IP thing. As I told you, there is the whole venture capital world trying to get into these on-chain networks. But the truth is that the more you cooperate to the open source ethos within the on-chain world, the more profitable you will be in the long run. And that's something, again, it's if you don't come at it with this cooperative, which is a mixture of competition and cooperation mindset, you're not going to get it, because you're still stuck in an old way of thinking. So if this makes no sense to you, I'm sorry, I can't explain it to you any further. But in Bitcoin, the incentives that Satoshi gave us, your interconnectivity to other people is incentivized. Interconnectivity is always incentivized. So I expect for there to be a lot of confusion as we go through these times of transition into L1 territory. I expect all L2s to die, but I don't expect them to die a quiet death. I think that venture capital is going to make a lot of noise, cause a lot of confusion because they have a lot of money for marketing. So, but what I do know, given by my example with Ordi and Bitmap, is that if you stay true to sound fundamentals, overall, you're going to be able to capitalize more than anyone else out there trying to psyop others into ideas that don't bring about what is best for each other. That is the truth. So the Crypto Vigilante has evolved and will keep growing. It's still the #1 crypto newsletter in the world. And I have a bet out there of 5 Monero that I put out a couple months ago, and I've still yet to find anyone to show me. But I need someone to show me, to proof that there was another crypto newsletter on the planet that was earlier to Ordinals than me, than TCV. And whoever brings me that proof, I'll give him 5 Monero. Yeah? Because that's how, like we are at the center of the network, of all networks, at the Crypto Vigilante. We really are. And so, if you guys want to get the latest alpha, don't forget to subscribe. cryptovigilante.io. If you want to get really close to the center of the network, the closest you could be ever, of all networks, got to join the Vic. So, guys, I'm going to go enjoy nature. I'm going to go meditate, because what matters most to me is not even making a lot of money. Guys, I honestly could live a very chill lifestyle on the beach, on a beautiful cabin in a beautiful forest. I don't need much. But what I really want is freedom, peace, and prosperity. And I want people around me to find greater peace, freedom, and prosperity. Because that's the world I want to live in. I want to live in a world where people are happy, where people are prosperous, where there's no need to have these lower vibrations. We need to kill these lower vibrations once and for all. And I really think that Bitcoin and hyper-Bitcoinization is the way, the means of achieving that. So that's why I do this. This is why I started the Crypto Vigilante with my business partners. This is why I do what I do. I don't need to do this. I don't need to work. But I really want the future to be led by people who are decent. And the philosophy of libertarianism is nothing more than the philosophy of decency, of decent people, decent men and women that come together and share value with one another and exchange value with one another peacefully, without need of coercion, without needs of like threatening violence or anything. That is really the world I want to live in, and that's what I fight for, and that's why I teach what I do. So, you know, it's funny because a lot of people think that, oh, well, you just say this because you just want to pump your bags or whatever. Look, guys, I'm an OG Bitcoiner. I'm diversified across the entire space. It doesn't matter to me who wins, because I'm going to win either way. Does that make sense? Like, I'm going to win. I'm diversified across all of these coins and shit coins. So I'm pretty set when it comes to crypto. But what's not set for me, in my mind, is the idea of having to live in a tyrannical world if we live if this turns out to be a clown world worse than the one we are in right now. So it's important to me, it's paramount to me, that Bitcoin in its original design, that the fullness of Bitcoin win out. And it's gonna happen because there's just no other path for hyper-Bitcoinization. There's no other path for hyper-Bitcoinization other than on-chain scaling, open source, or interoperably. And this is a reality, and this is a treasure that most people are about to find out. So I'm happy to be here in this journey with you guys. We're here to help you at the Crypto Vigilante. Take care, peace, love, anarchy. Bye-bye. Now we are dealing with a possible world war. Some will say we are already in a world war. My condolences and prayers go out to everyone suffering under tyranny. It really sucks. I'm really sorry. But it seems as if people are starting to wake up regarding crypto more and more each day. And so it's in the description right here to read, where we give our secret sauce and what we teach our subscribers, because things are just that bad. You know, everyone needs this information. People need to know about sound cryptocurrencies that are actually private by default, and to know how to properly use crypto.